A recent article in a New York newspaper has reported there are large colonies of people living under the city. That paper was incorrect. What's living under the city is not human. C.H.U.D is under the city. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 87, Spotlight on C.H.U.D.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 87, Spotlight on C.H.U.D. And almost as ever, I am joined by...
Paul Hawkins and Brett Summers.
And I am your host, Damien Hicks. And yes, I did forget to say that at the start, which is why I was getting some funny looks from my two compatriots over there. So, episode 87, another week's gone by. What exciting, fun things have been going down in Groovetown.
We opened the Hawkins doors and let some people in on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Not vampires or anything.
No, you let the right one in.
We just had some drinks and some snacks for... Well, it wasn't really for my birthday, was it? It was just an excuse.
It's just a kind of excuse.
It was a birthday
celebration of sorts,
yeah.
But we just haven't done anything like that for a while in a house. We went obviously out for a curry the other night for someone else's birthday. I don't know if we can mention names, so I tend not to do that. But
I'm Paul.
We haven't done a house thing for a while, have we? So
no,
that was fun.
And you were knocked off your feet by the excitement and emotion of it.
Oh, I just got tripped up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, that was hilarious. That was brilliant.
That was quite early on in the evening as well.
It was as well. I don't think it was
alcohol.
the drink talking, was it? I think it was just
got
up too quickly,
really
hit the table and went back down again.
You didn't make a noise for a couple of minutes.
I think he was more worried about the shelf behind him and in case anything broke. I got stabbed numerous times by Connor's swords.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought this was different news.
No,
It's like,
no,
wow.
No.
Acupuncture or real life?
Very keen on sword fighting.
Yeah, I've trained him well.
You have trained him well.
I got bit by a dog a lot.
Although he didn't, it wasn't until about 5 minutes into the fight that he told me there's a health station behind me.
I've taught him well.
You got to learn the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I got bit by a dog again. And then it scratched me, and then again. And then I pretended I was asleep for the entertainment of children. It was a great night.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed it.
No, it was a good night.
Cool. Anything else?
No,
that was pretty much my weekend, yeah.
Sunday was quite quiet.
Fair enough. Well, same here, really. Then I mean, obviously, we did the same. We all did the same thing on Saturday night. I've been into the office today for the first time in a long time.
Did you remember where it was?
Well, to be fair, with all the building work that's been going on around there, I did get a little. There's traffic lights and everything there now. That wasn't there when I last went in. It was all coned off.
And your pass still works.
Pass still works. Yeah. So that's all cool. And I purposely parked in the overflow car park so that I had a nice walk.
All right. Yeah.
Get a bit of exercise, Cause
waste time.
Get your steps in.
Get my steps in, exactly. So, yeah. Okay, well, let's get back on to track to the podcast then, shall we? And have you been watching anything? I'll start with Paul. No, I won't. We always start with Paul, and then it goes on for about 20 minutes, and then we all get bored. So, I'm going to start with Brett.
Because no one gets bored.
Bored?
No one does. Not been a lot this week. It's been quite a busy week with work and stuff, and partying and children's entertaining at the weekend. Mainly this week, I have enjoyed the finale of the recent series of Death in Paradise.
Oh, yeah.
Which kind of...
Oh, you say enjoyed the finale. It wasn't...
I mean, it was one of those things that all the eggs in the basket were done last week.
Yeah.
There was something we were talking about a while. the Orville, where they kind of finished and then had one episode afterwards that just kind
Yeah.
of, and it was a bit like that. I suppose you had the dilemma of, will he stay or will he go? But they'd already announced 2 more seasons, so
Yeah.
that was kind of taken care of.
Although they could have announced 2 more seasons. Oh, did they announce 2 more seasons with him?
Well, they announced it, and there was no like, is he going or whatever until like the episode was coming around, and normally by now we'd know if they were gone or not.
That's true.
Type thing. But I was hoping he would stay because he's done all right.
Yeah.
He's done all right.
He's now definitely going to be the longest serving detective
Which
on
is
San Marino.
weird. They've all had their own quirks and enjoyment, but yeah, as an episode goes, I pretty much got all of it apart from who the killer was this time.
I've forgotten what the
It was
murder was.
In the bar with the
Oh yeah, that's
with
right.
the whiskey
Yeah.
and all that. But yeah, it was quite good. And then obviously before that was
Yeah.
probably the bigger news,
Mm.
the debut of Beyond Paradise.
Or as Paul calls it, Paradise Nights.
Yes. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a murder, but it was quite nice to me that
Hold
it
on, wasn't a murder.
Nope.
It was it may have been an attempted murder
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
made to look like it was a ghost. Bit Scooby Doo like.
No, that sounds more like Jonathan Creek.
It was quite a Jonathan Creek-esque mystery, wasn't it? To be fair,
Yeah.
But then again, I mean,
But
most
then I
of Death
never
in
liked
Paradise
Jonathan
ones.
Creek.
No, I did.
I need to go and watch it now. So we
The
talked
first
about this
couple of
before,
seasons,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Death in Paradise is a kind of, you've got 4 people, and it's more of a kind of how as well as the why
Well, yeah.
Okay.
or the who.
Yeah, it was. I think it set up the town, which is, the real town. Is it Lou?
It's filmed in Lou, yeah, but it's
Lou
for
in
some
Cornwall,
reason set in Devon.
but it's Devon, and
Yeah.
they've made up a name for it, haven't they?
Yeah,
And we met.
Why couldn't they just say that it's in Cornwall?
maybe they didn't want to be compared to Doc Martin.
I wonder.
okay.
Yeah. Also, do they have to pay to use the names of places?
No, but they
know.
could not the county.
Yeah, but then you don't have to. So Doc Martin is set in a place called Port Wen, but it's filmed in Port Isaac.
Yeah, but I mean, if they
So-
said Port Isaac, would they have to pay something to Port Isaac to use the name or something like that?
No, I wouldn't have
don't know
thought
how
so.
it works.
They
But,
probably just don't want to. The
Associate it with all the murder and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I quite like this. It wasn't a murder because, although obviously I want him solving some murders, we don't necessarily need a murder every week because otherwise there's not going to be many people left in this small town, and
Yeah.
that's when it gets
be like
silly.
living in Thornhill or something.
Yeah. How topical. But like Midsummer, I know it's an array of small villages, but
It's
there
a
can't
county.
be that many
Midsummer
people.
is a county,
But there can't be
not a
that many
village.
people left there now that haven't at least killed someone
Well,
or know someone who did.
You'd
It's a
expect the
big
house prices to be rock bottom, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so having and not a murder was, I thought, quite a nice touch. Be interesting how they carry that on though, because if they are going to do sort of wacky crimes and wacky things,
Oh, Jonathan Creek got good ratings.
yeah, if they get John Renwick, I think that was his name, as in on the writing team, then
we shall see.
John-
But no, I'm optimistic. The characters were all kind of established. I thought the most inconsistent one was the young police guy played by the Derry boy.
Yeah, I didn't like. It was a bit too.
He was
dopey.
good in it, but at one point they made him sharp, athletic, and you see him running, using his brains, jump across the boat, catch the guy, and then the next bit it was like, oh well, there was what happened?
Yeah.
And it was just like that bit kind of stood out like a sore thumb. Really, that bit didn't really play well for me. It's nice seeing, I've forgotten her real name now, Lynn from Alan Partridge, actually being a bit badass for a change
Yeah,
and enjoying the snooping into people's private lives that her job allows her to do. The assistant lady was I don't know, I thought she might have come around a little bit too quick, 'cause I think they're doing the sort of Mulder Scully thing where she doesn't like him, but she kind of liked him a bit at the end already. I'd rather she was just a bit of a bitch towards him for a little while longer before they bonded.
yeah.
But
But then maybe they're thinking they do that in Death in Paradise, and every time a new one comes in, they all think he's a bit odd. And
yeah, but it was she made it very clear she didn't. No, but it wasn't even large. She just didn't like him. It was
Yeah.
like It was almost like when he stuck up the tree and then she realised who he was, almost like, what, this prick? You can almost see that on her face. You know, it was a lot more with a tiptoeing sort of reality, I guess, than maybe Death in Paradise is sometimes, because like everyone who isn't a criminal gets on in Death in Paradise, and they all go to the same place and have a beer.
Well, that's probably why they'd get on.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
it's
get on.
paradise as well. I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
no,
I'd
that's
get
true.
on well with people in paradise.
Yeah.
The only bit I found a bit hard to watch was the personal struggles of
The fertility issues.
yes,
Yeah.
and you know, I guess this is going to be the overarching sort of thread of the personal bit through it, but I don't know, just
It
I
didn't
think
chime
was,
with the tone of the rest of the
yeah,
show.
I think, and it was played really well as well, which made it quite harrowing and hard to watch. But against the sort of whimsiness of what you'd expect from
Yep.
Death and Paradise and that, it was just a bit, yeah, it sort of clanged a bit next to it, and it was, oh, okay, but maybe that's what they're going with. This isn't Death and Paradise. This is
Beyond
Paradise, where apparently horrible things do happen. But yeah, but I'll still be watching.
Hell yeah.
You know, as far as pilots go, if you want to call it that, even though the series is already greenlit. Yeah, it was enjoyable. Humphreys, Chris Marshall is always good, and he should have been the next Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
And but yeah, I'm in.
Cool. Okay.
And there's one more thing I was like, but you guys carry on.
Yeah, we'll let
Yeah.
Paul have a...
So I've been playing some God of War Ragnarok.
What's that? Is that a Marvel thing?
No, it's a game on the
Marvel
PlayStation 5.
thing.
God of War.
I just Ragnarok, so I just assume now anything that comes out with
No.
Ragnarok on has got something to do
You
with
know where
Marvel.
Ragnarok's Vikings?
I know it is. I know, but it's been bastardized and hijacked and whatever any other term I could possibly think of to use.
Yeah, so God of War has been around for years.
Oh, okay.
This is the latest one. Looks really, really good on the PS5. And yeah, I'm getting on well with it.
Cool.
Enjoying just slaying
Slaying
things.
people.
Yeah. And solving puzzles. Not in paradise. But yeah. So God of War. I've also been watching a couple of films. The first one.
So this we did. How have you given up on that other computer game that you kept getting really annoyed?
Yes.
I was just checking because this is a new game. Elden things.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so you carry on.
We
Also
don't
been
talk
watching,
about Elden's and where it is.
been watching a couple of films.
Mm-hmm.
First one, Megan.
Oh, the robot lady thing.
Yeah, so this is about a woman who works in a toy company, developing new toys, all that kind of good stuff.
The dream job.
She's got this prototype for basically a child robot. Anyway, her sister gets killed in a car crash. They've got an orphan. The orphan comes to live with her. She's not really a mum. Doesn't actually want to pay her any attention. So she green lights and works on finalizing the robot. And they have to test drive it. So it comes and lives with them. Gets on well with a girl. Obviously best friends. But then things start to go wrong. So her rules are basically not protect the innocent, uphold the law, all that kind of
Prime
stuff.
directives.
But it's basically to look after the girl, make sure she doesn't come to any harm, and learn. So that's what Megan does.
Cool.
It's one of those things. I mean, as soon as you see the trailer, you know exactly what's
Yeah.
going to happen. It doesn't.
It reminded
Doesn't
me
break
a bit
any-
of, do you remember Small Wonder from years and
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago, back in what they called the 1980s, where the guy's daughter died, so he made a robot replica of her.
Yeah.
And that's a sitcom, by the way.
Yeah, aimed at children and young people. Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't really push any boundaries. But what it does well, and it leaves itself open. Surprise, surprise for a sequel.
A Megan 2.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the films I've been watching. I don't know whether you want someone else to have a go and come back to me, or I can just rattle through the next
Go
one.
rattle through the next one, you might as well do.
Okay, cool. So the other one I've been watching, quite quiet for me actually. So the only other one I want to talk about is The Strays on Netflix. This literally just come out. UK
Seen the trailer.
UK production. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to give anything away. It's a woman running from her past who makes herself a nice new life in the suburbs. And she's a deputy head teacher for a private school, and then a couple of people start appearing, and maybe she's getting a bit freaked out because is she the only one that can see them or whatever? What happens? You have to watch to find out. This isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea just because it kind of doesn't do everything it could do, which is a shame. So it could have gone one way, but it kind of held back. The dad in it felt a bit sorry for him. Everyone else, well, I won't talk too much. But yeah, and it leaves itself open for another film. I think I just liked it because it was a bit different. It wasn't a horror per se. It was a thriller that I don't think jumps to mind at anything recently of that kind of ilk. So it was just enjoyable to watch something a bit different.
It sounded a bit like The Strangers to me. Sort of, I got that kind of vibe off
it's
from
not.
the trailer.
It's not.
The weird people that appear type thing, Like,
yeah. And that's what I thought it was going to be. But no, it's not.
Oh, cool.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Worth a watch.
As I said, I wouldn't give it a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 or even a 7 out of 10. I'd give it a 6 out of 10, but based on everything else out there at the moment, probably is if you've got nothing else to watch.
Fair enough. Okay. So before we go back to your additional extra that you've just remembered, I want to go on record to say that I take back everything I said about La Brea last week. I managed. We
liked it.
Yes, I did like it.
But then we saw him Saturday, remember?
Yeah. So
that bit didn't happen.
season 1 ended pretty well. Even got to see a woolly mammoth.
So just for the listeners that maybe have tuned in this week.
This might be
I found it on their dial.
This could be their first podcast.
They might have seen us on TikTok and gone off and downloaded.
So last week I said I was really enjoying season 1 of La Brea. Yeah, it is crap. I said it was crap.
This
but
is the one where there's
crap.
a hole, they fall through it and end up in 10,000
BC. And, nice little twists and turns, etc., etc. That's what I said last week. Taking it all back. So as I say, it ended pretty well. We even got to see a woolly mammoth. But season 2 is just bordering on the ridiculous. There's
in a good way, though?
No. There's so many plot contrivances to get
a bad way, Paul.
people back together into the same place where the series started, and they are just tying themselves up in knots with timey-wimey nonsense that there's no way it can go to a satisfactory conclusion, because people are interacting with not future selves, but like people that would, if they change something, their existence no longer is viable.
Right.
And all that sort of, it's just getting ridiculous.
Does the woolly mammoth have a friendly saber-toothed tiger or a sloth that keeps him company?
Don't see it again.
No.
See it at the end of season 1.
Probably couldn't afford it.
Yeah. But, so, for example, the two characters jump down a
angry
sinkhole.
About this,
I am.
Yeah.
Two characters jump down a sinkhole in C.H.U.D to get back to 10,000 BC. Miraculously, they've landed in Los Angeles in 10,000 BC. Yet, every other sinkhole that they've talked about, wherever something's happened, it goes to, the parallel place in 10,000 BC.
But doesn't everything go to Los Angeles in film and TV?
Apparently so.
Even though it's really Toronto.
Yeah. So that's seriously pissed me off. We're going to carry on watching it because
you've got no choice.
Get to the end.
Sarah's
they
enjoying
might redeem
it.
Next week, you might go, do you know what? They did tie that.
Yeah, they pulled the... So
the mammoth's back.
6
His name's
episodes
Larry.
So far of season 2. It's just getting more and more ridiculous.
Cool.
And so to give myself a break from that, started to watch, not Yellowcoats, that's Heidi High.
Yellowstone.
No, not Yellowstone. The other one.
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets.
Right.
Yeah, have either of you started on that at all?
No,
Seen it at all? Any of the adverts? Or
I have, but I can't remember what it's about at the
Okay.
moment.
so the premise is back in the 90s, there was an all-female soccer team. I'm using the term soccer because it's an American show. They make the nationals, so that they're travelling by jet for their first game, private jet. It crashes in the wilderness.
Is it like Alive?
It's very much like Alive,
Ooh.
but told differently. But it doesn't look like they've got any hope of being rescued. But the story is being told in the present day via flashbacks.
And you said it was a girls' football team.
Yeah,
So there's a girls' football team eating each other.
if you want to put it like that, then
I feel
go
it
ahead.
would have made it a more success on the poster.
But the girls' football team are in high school, so I'm not going to put it like that.
No, nor would I. 'cause
It's
I'm
not
a
set in the
school teacher.
90s, Brett.
No, it is set. It is set in the
I know,
90s.
but it's not filmed in the 90s.
It was filmed in the 90s, and he'll be 40 pretending to be.
Yeah.
So, but it's got Juliette Lewis in, and it's got what's her name? The original not the original Wednesday, but the Wednesday from
Christina
the 90s. That's the
Ricci.
one. I'm going to sneeze.
Do it.
They're a bit old to be.
No, they're the ones now.
Oh, right,
Oh,
okay.
they were kids back
They were
then.
kids back then.
Okay.
So there's a dark secret. Exactly what you said. It's leading towards that there was some form of cannibalism that went on, but that's not explicitly been said. But that's what they're pointing to, which actually makes me think that's not what happened.
Yeah. That's the obvious one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Did they do it underground?
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's all right. It's
My money's on
enjoyable.
witchcraft.
Yeah, there is a few sorts
Looking at
of
the people involved. Juliette
Yeah.
Lewis, Christina Ricci. There's some demonic shit going on there.
quite possibly. There is a little tiny supernatural element that seems to be coming through, and I've only done about 3 episodes.
And what's it on?
Paramount.
To be fair, I was in a plane crash. They'd be pretty cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah, it's
you?
good.
Cool. No,
But
yeah,
the
I
annoying
have seen
thing
it.
is I hate the flashback stuff. I hate it when they keep, they're just constantly chopping and changing, and it's real trouble for me. I swear I've got that facial recognition thing
Oh,
where you
Bruce.
stop, can't recognise people's faces because it keeps jumping back, and I'm going, which one was that? That's she's
Yeah, but
supposed to be.
it doesn't help if it's not the same person.
No, but even
At
when
least,
they're,
at least with Lost, it was the same person.
Yeah.
You know.
but
When
it's
it's
more
like-
just the fact that they'll spend about 20 minutes of an episode in 1996, I think it is, and basically I think just because all the actors that are playing the characters are under the age of 25, I've got a mental. I just cannot
I'm the same
process
with,
their
I'm
faces.
the same with footballers. I don't remember any real new footballers anymore because I didn't have their stickers.
Yeah,
I
could be it.
can tell you that Owen Archdeacon was a midfielder for Celtic in 1988, but I don't know who even plays for Saints anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like
But it's definitely worth watching. It's
Cool.
much better than Le Brer.
I don't know. Paramount.
Get Paramount. It's only £7.
I have to give up something else.
have you got Sky Movies?
It's on Virgin. You don't get it with.
Oh. There might be. Have a sniff around. There might be a deal
Have a
because
sniff
I
around.
get it free because I get Sky
Yeah,
Cinema.
Okay. I'll have a look.
But it's probably on Now TV. Could leak it going on at Now TV because
Yeah, it'll be in the Now TV package. But then with Now TV, it's £10 for the movie package, £10 for the entertainment package, £10 for sports or whatever. So before you know it, you might as well just be paying
I don't think. Yeah,
for the.
but you will look. It's
Virgin.
got all the Star Trek
Halo.
stuff on there as well. Halo. There's,
Yeah, Halo was on Channel 5 anyway, so.
Yeah. Wasn't for a while though. Anyway,
Yeah, so you got
Cool.
one more thing you've been watching.
Oh yes, I have. I am now. I think 4 or 5 episodes in of season 2 of The Bad Batch.
oh okay,
the
cool.
Star Wars
Wasn't worth waiting
rogue
for. was it?
stormtrooper sort of thing, and
A Bad
it's-
Batch is quite good.
Cartoon, isn't
Saturday morning
Yeah.
cartoon type thing.
but it's really good. I wish we had this when we were younger because
Yeah.
you've actually got a coherent, ongoing storyline that follows on from the end of Revenge of the Sith and that in Order 66, and it will end up. There are little threads that you can see tying into stuff we know later on, and it's just so well written and crafted. And all the little threads, like different characters have got backstories and little threads that get picked up, and they pull out things. I never really watched the Clone Wars series because I didn't get on with the animation of it, but
I watched a few of them. They were all right.
But there's little threads and things they pick up from there, and like different characters and little references. And I don't get all the references because I don't remember it all or whatever. But like there's little things, Easter eggs and stuff like that, and it's just so well done. And you're like, how can you craft something like this, which is amazing? I know it's a cartoon, so budget's easier. And then you made like those 3 films. Or whatever, because all the talent's there. You've got the people that know the stuff. They're writing these characters.
The stories.
Yeah. It's if that was live action, we'd be like, this is the best Star Wars series we've ever seen.
Oh, keep getting promised that, don't we?
You should watch those.
No, I shouldn't.
No, the Bad Batch.
No, I've got no interest in.
Have any of you guys watched that superhero thing yet on Disney?
No, not yet.
I want to, but I haven't had time.
Okay.
I've got it on my thing. There was something else that's just coming on there. There was something else we're going to watch. There was that one, or maybe it was on Netflix. I can't remember now.
Oh, well.
Never
Let it
mind.
go.
But yeah. But there seems to be a lot of cool stuff coming out, and season 3 of The Mandalorian kicks off soon as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're getting it's March, isn't it?
Tomorrow,
yeah.
at time of recording.
Yeah.
Looking through the secret window there, everyone. So I know what all my kids will do. They're going to come. What time? Hopefully, it's not on Disney Plus till about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it should be as soon as the day comes around, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but that means all my kids are going to come in tomorrow like half asleep because they've been up all night watching The Mandalorian. They go, "Sir, so and so's in it," and then it's ruined.
Yeah, but it's all right. They're not there Thursday because you're on strike. Well, not you,
It's
but
tomorrow.
No, it doesn't start tomorrow, does it?
Yeah, it's the first.
yeah, no, but they.
Is it?
1st of March.
I thought it was later in the month.
I thought it was the
No,
third.
1st of March. If you go on today, it's all up there, like coming
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Cool.
and all that. So I mean, that'll probably be next week. But again, it's one a week, or maybe we'll get 2 and then 1 a week.
Probably, yeah.
Actually, now by 3rd series, they'll just milk it, won't they?
Yeah.
They don't need to hook us in anymore. We're there.
I don't know.
On the blue milk spouting teat of whatever beast that was.
Yeah, I'll just continue saving them up just so I can get through it.
That's
Keep
what I
up
was doing with
you.
the Bad Batch. You'd really enjoy it.
No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to watch a fucking Bad Batch. Just
Watch the superhero thing on Disney instead.
yeah, I will. We'll watch that somewhere. Is that like half an hour episodes or longer? Or are they a bit longer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
something like
think
that.
yeah. Okay, so is that our televisual watching?
I
the
believe
week?
so. And I'm still penciling in, it's on the to-do list, Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully this weekend.
Cool.
スポットライト
C.H.U.D was produced on a budget of 1.2 million, went on to gross over 4 million worldwide. It has inspired the name of a film website and been referenced in some of the biggest pop cultural shows and movies in the last 20 years, from Clarks to The Simpsons to Futurama and The Flash. Starring John Hurd, Daniel Stern and Christopher Curry, C.H.U.D is a cult classic that never goes away.
$1.2 million.
Yep.
That's less than the box of delights.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's impressive, isn't it?
That would have been about, just after, I suppose, wouldn't it? But
Yeah.
it's about 82. It's about probably filmed about the same time.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Good old BBC.
Just-
I don't know why that thought came
No.
to my head then.
No,
And,
it's thrown me a little bit, to be fair, because it's not
And
what I
is-
was expecting.
Yeah. And is this seen as an official prequel to Home Alone, or is it just like
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to work out how to like kill off some mischievous creatures,
Because as soon as I saw Sharknado's Daniel Stern, I was like, oh man.
and John Hurd as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, as always, let's get the memories bit out of the way before we move on to the plot, etc., and the bit that we were waiting for. Paul, had you seen it? I should say, and
So I'd never watched the film in its entirety. However, I do remember it from the trailers when on the VHS rentals that Mum and Dad would get out. It was one of those ones like basket case that you get the trailers for.
And a voiceover.
Yeah, and as soon as I saw the actual
City.
picture for the poster for the film. It's like, oh yeah, and then some memories of Saturday nights and horror films on Saturday nights came back, and then I had to lock myself away for a little bit of a hug, and yeah. But that was it.
That's what you call it.
I don't remember ever seeing this film before.
Cool. That's not happened for a while, is it? That's good. What about you, Mr. Summers?
Yeah, this was a straight off the video shelf memory of probably being far too young and parents being far too concerned about keeping me quiet and like just picking a video. And yeah, I remember that. It's one of the covers I can remember seeing on the shelf. Like when you go in, it used to be that Neon Maniacs, the Exterminator. Just sort of very Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Certain covers you remember seeing.
Wraith. The Wraith.
Oh, yeah. Is that the Charlie Sheen one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've got that on Blu-ray now. And just, those sort of video shop memories. Now, everyone posts all these memes about, it's Friday and you're in Blockbuster. I mean, this was before Blockbuster, but this is when video shops just smelled
We're
nicotine.
a little independent
showing video.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just stunk of nicotine.
No, it didn't just stink of nicotine. I loved the smell of
booze.
Showling video. It was a bit of sweets. It was a bit of fresh videotapes.
Sweaty nerds.
Yeah.
See, I still remember the video shop that was run in the sidebar of the Swallows. It had been an off license, and the off license had closed, and then it became a video shop for about a year, and then it got closing and became like the kitchen for the pub when it started doing food. Where they had like a little side bit with a separate door. And it was, cause I remember...
A few blueies under the counter.
I was going to say, yeah.
I wouldn't know about that. But City of the Living Dead was another one I was allowed to get out from there. That was when the guy gets drilled through the side of his head.
Yeah.
And it looks really real. Yeah, so, my parents were pretty cool. And it explains a lot.
Cool. Well, we had it on VHS in our house growing up. I remember. I think it's probably why I chose it because, but
Memories.
Again, memories, exactly. Cool. So, okay. Let's work our way through the plot then, shall we? And see what we think.
Let's see what. Yeah, okay then.
I've got the 80s
So we get the
graphics in my head and the opening.
Bit of synth going on, and we get our nice little pre-credit opening that's, to me, invoke memories of Street Trash, another video classic.
Yeah.
It was sort of homeless people on the streets, and it's not looking nice, and it's grimy, and we know something's not right, but we can't put our finger on it yet. And we see this woman walking her dog down an empty New York City street. And it turned out, apparently, it's Daniel Stern's wife in real life, this was, in her only cinema appearance.
Yeah.
I thought, did she go on and do something else? No. But hey, good for you. She's walking her dog, and as you do in New York, where it's busy, I guess it's nighttime, she's in the middle of the road.
Yep.
Why is she in the middle of the road? Is that what we do
We've all
now?
walked in the middle of the road sometimes.
Not when
Some
you're
of us have
walking
been running through traffic.
I wouldn't imagine that in... All right, Martin Riggs. I wouldn't imagine that in New York City, though, but then,
Not when you're just walking your dog at night.
Maybe it's safer from all the evil hobos on the sides of the street.
Maybe that was the point she was trying to make. That
But anyway,
she felt safer in the middle of the street than she did next to the homeless people.
Hobos, yeah, those dodgy homeless people. As she passes by a manhole, which has got sort of steam coming out of every orifice of it, she is attacked by something, a creature it looks like, and her and the dog are pulled down the manhole. Or we believe basically they are. But they kind of jump it, so you think...
A bit like your examination at the doctor's the other week.
And that was pushed up the manhole. Then as the credits roll, we follow a road sweeping truck for half an hour.
It seems
as
like
it makes its journey down the same street, and it focuses on the shoe she left behind, and eventually, maybe like the homeless people, that shoe is swept up and forgotten about.
Yeah.
Why didn't the homeless people take the shoes?
Well, there's only one.
One.
And they weren't
there
the
were two
most...
of them.
Are you sure?
No, there was only one
I
shoe
thought
left. She
there
had the
were
other one
two.
on.
No, I think
That's
there's
the whole
only
point.
one.
She leaves one shoe.
One shoe in the middle of the road.
Like
Discarded.
Cinderella.
And it's not the most practical of
Maybe.
shoes. So,
Especially for walking a dog.
yeah.
But yeah. So that's what we get. and then that's our opening. So we're setting the scene. Something's happening. We don't like homeless people, and there's strange things going on.
Yeah, and we get a lot of focus on this homeless guy that just seems to be talking to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the strange lady is just sat there,
Yeah,
not doing much at all. Which,
it's
Yeah,
setting the scene.
you get the chance to
the
do it when you're
deprivation.
homeless. She hasn't got to do work or anything, so she just started chilling.
Chilling, yeah.
Leave her
It
alone.
did feel more like 1920s America with all these hobos on the streets there.
Yeah, like the great dust bowl of
Yeah.
the Depression.
Anyway, moving on. The same homeless people are being photographed by George Cooper, aka John Hurd, from the apartment he shares with his girlfriend Lauren, Kim Greast. George, a once prominent fashion photographer, has dropped off the radar. Well, he doesn't like the fashion industry or anyone involved in it, though, doesn't he? So, he's off to try and do bigger and better things. His current project is photographing New York City homeless population, more specifically those known as undergrounders. Or people who reside within the bowels of the city. Lauren is a current fashion model who met George during one of his photo shoots, and she had roped him into shooting a perfume commercial, which he's not happy about.
Not happy at all.
Well, you wouldn't be, would you? Oh, the dilemmas of modelling and photography.
So I must admit, we've talked about this before. I was watching a lot of this film thinking, Jesus, people looked older in those days.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
The
The drugs are a lot better in the 80s.
and also what are they wearing? Lots of them. Go back and watch some of this because lots of them look like they're wearing girdles. The
They
blokes.
probably were.
Yeah, I know, but you wouldn't be shown if you're.
And we still got the overhangingness of sort of 70s porn, haven't we?
Yeah,
With the
so we got
shirts
the
and the facial
mustaches,
hair
early
and the-
80s as
yeah.
well, yeah. But he's also wearing girdles, and some of the stuff they get John Hurd to wear. He starts off in these really weird shorts, some jeans that obviously don't fit him, with some shirts that don't fit him. And he's not one of those actors. He didn't take the role so he could keep the clothes, did
No,
he?
certainly not.
Anyway,
No,
sorry.
not at all.
I
I just thought, did I say it was John Hurd's wife? It was Daniel Stern's wife. Sorry, I might have got that muddled up.
thought
might
you
wanna check
said
that.
Dennis
No,
Stern.
you said Daniel Stern.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Cut that out then. Yeah,
No,
no, it was,
well,
yeah,
yeah.
the clothes were definitely, but then he was a down on his luck photographer.
No, he's
So
not
were
down
they
on his luck.
No, he's
Wow.
just started renting that
rough?
that
Yeah, I
studio
know, but then-
apartment.
But he's, he's rough and ready. He's on the go. I think that was trying to be his part of his image. He wasn't in it for the glamour. He was in it for the pictures.
I don't know. He was wearing his jeans up past his waist.
Yeah, but everyone did.
Yeah,
that.
everyone did that back in the 80s, though.
He says pushing his jeans down.
Anyway, so that's the sartorial aspect of the podcast over and done with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did. They all look really old.
Now, to me,
They do.
it just
So I
looked
can't
like,
remember if I've said this before. I might have said this in a recent podcast, but I was watching an episode of The Sweeney the other day.
Yeah.
And so I swear this is right. John Thor is in his 30s
Yep.
in that, yet he looks older than we do now in our 40s. So that's just... They just all looked older.
I mean, the classic one for me has always been Arn Anderson, the wrestler. I mean, he says it himself on his own podcast now. I mean, he's 60 now, which put him at about 25, 28 when you were watching him in his prime in like the 80s. But you thought he was that age then because he always had the horseshoe in his head. The
I have no
haircut
idea who
and-
you're talking about, but
I was in the
that's fine.
water, but he had the horseshoe bowl, the bowl pot combed over and all
Yeah.
that. And he just always looked like he was, I think that's how he got away with his career. I think they thought he was an older veteran all the time when actually he was like, I'm 21, guys. Yeah, right, come on.
Anyway,
It's one of those acts, like some of those actors that just look old. David Jason, he spent most of his life playing people older than him. Blanco and all that. It was the old man in, Dalboy.
Blanco. Dalboy's.
No, you look confused who David Jason was.
No, I'm more confused. I'm trying to marry
But
up
he
your
played-
point. He played
but look-
Blanco in
Porridge.
Porridge.
No, but before Dalboy, apparently a lot of the roles he'd done, I mean, he said
yeah,
it,
he
but
did. Before he
was playing-
became famous,
he was a lot more. He was playing older men,
Yeah.
older people all the time.
I'm sorry. I raised the point, and now we're
Now
off
you
on
wish
a
you hadn't.
tangent. Okay.
That's a good point to make, and it's turned into a discussion.
I just don't want you guys fighting over David
Gone.
Jason.
No, we won't fight over David Jason.
No, but that was what he was known for at that point. He was the
One
young
good
guy you
character
could
that
get
he's
in.
played, and suddenly he's a hero. But
It was one of those people though that you needed a
still
young
going.
guy who could play an old person, and that was what he was known for. wasn't
he
it?
was. You're right. Prior to Only
Yeah.
Fools, because John Sullivan didn't want him to do Only Fools originally because he'd only ever seen him playing
Yeah.
old people.
There we go.
What about Open All Hours?
That was after the original.
But that's what I mean. He's not known for
No.
playing older people.
And in Only
At
Fools
all.
and Horses,
No, at that
in
point
Open
in
All
his
Hours, he's
career-
playing someone supposed to be younger.
Yeah.
I hate Open
Open
All
All
Hours
Hours.
because it just doesn't chime. He's far too old to be playing a character who's like a lackey
Yeah,
to.
he got to work with Ronnie Barker again, and that was it.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't not take the job, but I'm just saying.
no, I agree.
Cool.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get back to the actual
Yes.
spotlight.
C.H.U.D.
This isn't a spotlight on David Jason.
Or
Not
old
this
people.
week.
That's an idea, right? No. Right. So, while the two are discussing the photo shoot, the phone rings. George takes the call and can be heard saying the people he has been photographing have disappeared. Lauren heads down to the basement to retrieve some jewellery and has a brief conversation with a neighbour and hears something unsettling scraping coming from a hatch in the floor of the basement. We then see the same neighbour investigating a pile of rubbish in the street, which suddenly gets caught by the wind to reveal a blood-soaked hole in the sidewalk.
Or foreshadowing,
Yeah.
setting the scene.
Yeah.
So you think she would then go and report back
Yeah.
to the...
I didn't
Please.
like Lauren much as a character.
Well, Lauren didn't see it, did she? It was
No,
the
no,
neighbour.
No, but
neighbour
even
saw
as
it.
it developed, no, but she's heard stuff. You hear scraping in the wall. You're like, oh, okay.
Could have just been the wind underneath.
Could have been rats.
Yeah.
You know, this is New York. Like, you're never more than 5
She
metres
doesn't
away
even
from
tell
a
it.
rat
She
or something.
doesn't tell anyone what happens to her later on. I don't want to give it away yet, but it was like
Yeah.
she just like she does nothing to help anyone in the whole film.
No. Well,
Apart
this
from
is that.
Right at the end, she turns up and
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
but yeah, I was just like, you're in there because they needed a blonde.
Yeah.
Sorry to sound sexist, but anyway, we then get to meet probably the best moustache this side of the 1970s Burt Reynolds, NYPD Captain Bosch. And it's like, Bosch! And they would say that Bosch is insisting that one of his fellow officers simply file a missing persons report and move on to another case, despite the officer believing it to be a homicide. He then calls his superior, stating he can't keep covering up what's really going on. He then heads off to interview a bag lady who tried to steal an officer's gun. So again, what I like about this is you're getting all the different aspects of people's reactions to what's going on. Through Bosch, we get to know that this has been happening all the time.
Yep.
He's covering it up, but he doesn't
He
want
doesn't
to cover
know,
up.
but he also doesn't know what
Yeah.
he's covering
Yeah.
up. He's just been told to cover up something, but what
He's
he
just
doesn't
following
know.
orders, man.
And he can't wait to stick it to the man.
Okay, so George and Lauren, just lost my place there. They're now at the photo shoot, whereas George can't hide his disdain for the situation. He's damn the man, and makes no secret about how bored he is.
He's bored of Lauren.
During a break-in shooting, he checks his messages and hears that he has a message from the bag lady currently being held at the precinct. Bosch finds out that AJ, aka the Reverend Shepherd, a man he arrested 5 years ago, has filed a missing persons report. Okay, yeah, so he downs tools because he's got to go and rescue a bag lady at the police station. No one bats an eyelid.
No.
Yeah.
Even later on when Lauren meets him up, it's not like, I can't believe he just fucked off and left me in the photo shoot.
Yeah,
For
you're
a
the
bag
only
lady.
photographer
Yeah.
on set.
For a
And
bag lady. You
Yeah.
left me for another woman.
I did like, height of technology. He just had to press a little button on his whatever it was he had in his hand down the phone,
Yeah.
and it started playing his messages for him.
Oh, that's just his secret code.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I
because
mean,
he's a rich, successful photographer.
cool.
But we get our first referencing to AJ, the Reverend Shepherd, though.
Yep.
What I liked about this guy Well, we get a bit more in a minute, but you don't really get a backstory.
No, we just know that he's been arrested 5 years ago,
But you don't.
but now
get,
he's running a soup kitchen. He's
Okay,
obviously turned his life around somehow.
I'll come back to that
Okay.
at the end, but I thought this is the really interesting bit in films nowadays where we need to explain everyone's backstory, motivation, orientation, and pronouns. Like here's a guy, a bit of a mystery. 'Cause even the mystery guys, you'll get a bit where they'll just be frowning to themselves, going, "Oh man, if I hadn't done that before in my past," or something like that. And you go, "Oh, what? Well, wonder what happened." And eventually you find out, nah,
No,
none
he's
of that.
just there.
He's just there,
Simple as that.
doing his thing.
Well, it was probably, a spout of breaking and enterings, wasn't it?
Possibly.
Well, yeah, but all we know
don't
is
know.
that that's all he's done. He's been arrested 5 years
Particularly
ago,
on like Christmas time.
but he really likes homeless people.
Especially if they're alone.
Yeah.
He leaves taps on. Anyway, so Bosch leaves the precinct to go and interview AJ, who is played by Daniel Stern. I'm not sure if we name checked him yet, so there he is. AJ runs a local homeless shelter stroke soup kitchen, and he explains to Bosch that at least 12 of his regulars have gone missing, and they're all underground dwellers. Bosch tries to talk to an undergrounder, but only gets nonsense about the sky closing, so decides to leave, but not before AJ tells him that the undergrounders are now arming themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are panicking.
They're panicking.
Something
Something's
is
getting to them.
happening. Something's happened to them, and they do not like it. They're
And
scared.
they're almost talking in tongues as well. You got that one guy with,
Well, this
with
is
a
it, I know.
knife going.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The
The
sky.
ground
The
is
sky.
moving.
They can close the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'd be backing away.
Yeah. So George then posts bail for the bag lady, and she leads him down to the subterranean world where she lives. Not quite like Beauty and the Beast in the old TV show, more like street trash. It's a bit horrible. It's a bit smelly, sewery, in fact. So anyway, Bosch instructs the detective to follow them, which is noticed by a reporter on a hunt for a story. Again, another character just introduced on the fly. They're throwing characters in here. And the bag lady takes George to see her brother and a guy called Hugo. Her brother reveals he wanted the gun to protect himself from the thing that attacked him, and shows George the massive sort of bite wound, horrible mouldy bite wound on his leg.
It's basically down to the bone. Like a shark's bit.
Yeah.
So we get our first insight into the subterranean world.
Yeah, and it's obviously
underground.
really hot down there as well because he is sweating so much.
Yeah, and it's getting hotter.
Yeah.
Almost like it might be radioactive.
So Bosch is back with AJ at the soup kitchen. AJ is becoming suspicious of Bosch's interest in this, and while he is berating him, George reveals that his wife has also gone missing while out walking the dog. Aha.
That's the woman from the beginning.
Ah, now we know.
AJ believes that the recent events are part of a massive government cover-up, man, as the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, have been conducting investigations for around 4 weeks in the underground. Normally it takes them 1 week,
Yeah.
but it's taken them 4 weeks now.
Something's up.
Yeah. He takes Bosch down to the subterranean tunnels where they find a Geiger counter, which, when switched on, goes mad and goes into overdrive for a short burst before settling down again. What could have caused that? They then both hear a blood-curdling growl some way off in the distance. Dun, dun, dun.
I like it though. They like their foreshadowing in this. All those little friends. But it just impressed me the writer, like the women it's the cop's wife. All these little things, the reporter, AJ, the Reverend, all these, it kind of does all tie back in.
Oh, yeah. There's not.
It's just but for a lot of these films that are almost filmed in order just to make sure they made sense, where
Yeah.
they just churn these out. Yeah.
No, a lot of thought has gone into this, into the setup of
This is
what's
by
going
now,
on.
we'll get back to it. The first half, I was, and then by the second half, I was like appreciating the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
But I won't say any more yet. So.
Okay. Cool. So one thing I do have to point out. So Bosch has gone to work the next morning. His wife hasn't come home with the dog, but he seems pretty calm, and
Yeah, he does, yeah.
he doesn't seem, it's
Maybe it's happened before. Maybe that's what she's like.
okay.
Well, no, but we find out, that she's, doing a degree. She often goes off wandering late at night. I don't think their marriage is all that. at the
Doesn't
moment.
sound like it, does
No.
it? It sounds like
Oh, he's a
she's
cop in an
off
80s
again.
movie. He's married to the job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway. So Lauren tells George that she's pregnant and they discuss keeping the baby. While they're both in bed, we see the streets outside their apartment and a young girl and her grandfather go into a phone box. While on the phone, the grandfather is attacked and dragged down to the sewer. The next day, the young girl is in the precinct. When Bosch hears the story, he decides he's had enough of this cover-up and demands a meeting with his boss and other officials. Otherwise, he's going to go to the press.
Ooh. And everyone feared the press in the 80s.
Yeah, there's a common theme in it in 80s films. We're going to go to the press.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one. What was the one Michael Douglas won the Oscar for?
China syndrome.
Yeah, that was all about going to the press, wasn't it? And a true story. But yeah, no, it was nice built up. The girl, I don't imagine the girl was in many films after this.
No. But then she was probably traumatised.
Yeah, well,
Just seeing her grandfather dragged down to the sewer by a chud.
no, definitely. And the granddad is one of those people. He's been in everything over the years because I saw him. I was like, I know him from something, but I know him from everything because he's just he is just one of those actors. You know, he's probably been murdered in Murder She Wrote, arrested in T.J. Hooker, and hired the A-Team.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those.
And then
guys.
6 months later was the killer in Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah. With a different coloured wig on. But yeah, no. Again, good stuff. We get the building of the terror. It's still out there. It's taking grandfathers from their grandchildren. It doesn't care.
Yeah, well, I left the grandkid behind, though. You
Yeah.
think easy prey.
Mm.
I'll take
Probably
both of them.
go for that one first.
Could have come back for the
You know,
grandkid.
most leopards and whatnot, they'll
Yeah.
pick
Mate-
off the young,
Maybe it was full up.
maybe.
Maybe it was like vegetarian, so it wanted a bit more bone. I don't know. But anyway, Bosch picks up AJ and heads downtown to meet the officials, but not before stopping off at George's and doing a bit of breaking and entering to obtain photographic evidence. And during the meeting, it becomes clear that Bosch's superiors know more than they are letting on and seem to be taking their cues from Wilson, who works for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. That doesn't sound dodgy. Wilson rebuffs all of the accusations and seems to have a plausible explanation for all of their accusations. Now, Wilson is your awesome 80s office guy who ain't taking shit from no
Yeah.
one baddie, isn't he?
Pencil pushing
Yeah.
dickwad, as Bill Murray would call him.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. This man has no penis.
That's
Yeah.
it. I couldn't remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
completely
think he must get
misquoted.
called that as well. Yeah, it's similar. But yeah, I forget the guy's name. But again, he made a career being these types of
Yeah,
people, and
absolutely.
it's brilliantly done. You really want to punch him in the face.
Yep.
And
Just smugness, isn't
yeah.
And anyway, eventually Wilson reveals that there is a store of radioactive material under the city that can't be moved due to a court order. Meanwhile, the reporter who noticed George being followed tracks him and Lauren to Central Park and tries to convince him to join forces in order to find out what's going on. AJ hurls Wilson's briefcase across the room and storms out of the meeting. Yeah, he goes a bit full on, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes a bit Nick Cage.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Nick Cage-esque
Yeah.
from the very beginning, but he goes full Nick Cage in the meeting.
Or is Nick Cage AJS?
Yeah.
Wilson picks up the phone and orders one of his henchmen to follow him.
So we get that sort of dude with shades chewing gum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get that's probably in a minute, but we get an implied sort of beating, don't we? But you don't really see anything.
No, we don't. I haven't got
Yeah.
that guy.
Sorry,
There's some chunks I had to take out
Yeah.
because
No,
there was just
but-
too much going
Because
on.
you see him later on, he's like,
Yeah.
"You're right, look, yeah, I'll be fine."
Yeah. He's
You
at
know,
the phone.
sort of,
He
but
go.
you don't really see
He's
it.
clearly going to go and phone someone, probably the press. And the henchman just takes the money and likely beats him up. Anyway, so Bosch retrieves Wilson's briefcase and spots a classified document entitled C.H.U.D.
Yeah.
Wilson reveals that C.H.U.D stands for, I can't help saying C.H.U.D. I can't just do C.H.U.D. Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller. And they've found it. They all head off to the warehouse where the body is being stored. A doctor shows them the body and confirms that whatever it is was once human, and it died as a result of a gas leak. Believing it to be the only one, Wilson states that he will order his men to go back to work underground. However, Bosch is not convinced, and he wants to send police officers down there with flamethrowers. With no support from his boss, George concedes that can't be done. Or can it?
Let's see. Because Bosch has had enough now.
Yeah.
Bosch is
You
fed
can
up
see the
being
tension
Bosched.
rising in Bosch.
Time for the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
You know, when you need public safety, flamethrowers is what you would go for.
Particularly if there's a gas leak down there.
Yeah, so okay. Wilson's team head underground with cameras and find themselves coming face to face with Bosch's flamethrowing armed police officers. But then eventually, sort of, Wilson concedes to let Bosch sort of lead the charge, and they all head into the tunnels, where Wilson and Bosch watch from the control room of the sort of video cameras that I believe Frank was carrying. Poor Frank. I think it was Frank.
I didn't realise he had a name.
Well, I was just chucked because and then but we'll get to that. The team are ambushed by a C.H.U.D and they all die. Poor Frank. So I was like, they're introducing another character. Is he like the second income? Oh no, he's not.
It's his first big break at filming.
And then back at City Hall, Wilson reveals his plan to kill them all by flooding the tunnels with gas. George discovers that his photos are missing and, believing it to be a reporter, meets him to demand them back. When he finds out it was the police that took them, they both head into the tunnels to investigate. So everyone is starting to head in the same direction now.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
The threads are being pulled.
I mean, I don't know when we want to get onto this idea of flooding the tunnels with gas. Whether we want to cover that now and say what a stupid idea that is, or
Well, it was all right if the hatches a lot.
yeah,
I
and completely airtight.
I think a lot of them. I think Bosch mentioned it a few times that that's just going to blow up the city.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's one point.
The
The
mayor even says it.
the mayor
later on.
says it, and Wilson's like, "Oh, it's just a few blocks. It's not a problem."
Yeah,
He's like,
we'll do
literally
one
just
block at a
brushes that
time,
off.
yeah.
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 And that's. I mean, I have to say that the guy that plays Wilson in that bit is just a fine bit of acting.
Yeah,
Because it really is. It's like, oh, it's nothing. It's just even in his face, you can see it's. Oh, it's just nothing.
Even I believed him.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
was like the mayor from Jaws good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not shutting the beach. Yeah, but everything's really bad. No, it's all right. It's a flesh wound. and all that.
Anyway, so Wilson gives the order to shut off all the exits and begin flooding the tunnels. AJ heads down into the tunnels when he notices his stove flame has gone out. George and the reporter are making their way through the underground when the reporter is grabbed and eaten. Ah! George grabs his gun and flees in the opposite direction. Eventually, AJ stumbles into an underground storage facility and sees multiple chuds shoveling around.
Multiple chuds.
Had that once after a big night out.
Yeah, we've all been there.
They were floating around, weren't they?
So-
Oh, sorry.
go on.
No, I was just saying, I like the fact that we then learned that basically the reporter's main purpose on here was to just be eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. We need more people to be killed. We can't kill the reporter. We can't kill the photographer. We can't kill the soup kitchen guy. We can't kill the detective. Let's bring in a reporter.
Or someone else who would be willing to go
Yeah,
underground.
yeah. What other profession would force people to go underground?
And
Okay.
again, nothing is overly explained. The gas thing going out and fading a bit. The report there, the flooding of the tunnel, which is ridiculous, by the way. But they don't, nowadays we would have the whole, we need to flood the tunnels, and by locking that down and pumping the gas in here to
Yeah,
through that
yeah,
vent there, that would.
Yeah, and
it's
then
like,
we'll drive them down
this way.
Yeah.
We're going to flood the tunnels and kill them.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Job
take
done.
that.
Right, let's go.
It's not.
And we'd
They're
have
not-
motion sensors go beep.
I'm going to say they're not talking down to the audience, but they're not. But they're not really saying much either
No.
at the moment. But it's not overly done. They're not treating the crowd like the audience like they're idiots.
Okay. So back in the apartment, Lauren is in the basement when she decides to open the hatchway from which the ominous scratching could be heard earlier.
Stupid Lauren.
She heads down there, only to be confronted by a dead dog hanging from its own lead.
That's where the dog went.
That's where the dog went. Which I thought that was quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I guess the jury's out whether it was a real dog or not because it looked pretty damn good.
I
to
was
me.
going to say that. What's that?
Look better than
Yeah.
the Chuds.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, if it was a real dog, then hopefully it was an already dead dog that they got from a vet or something and not went out and killed a dog. But anyway, this was the 80s. I don't think they would have done that, but who knows? Maybe that's why it had such a cheap budget. And Bosch has been called to the discovery of a body near a sewer outlet, which turns out to be his wife.
Damn it, it's his wife. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
This is Captain Sheridan from Babylon 5.
Is it?
In an
Oh.
early run. No, it's just like John. I was like, oh, I just recognise. Yeah, he's got one of those voices. You know, like it's just.
Take him to the bar and get him a whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where we get Bosch's breaking point. If he hadn't have been covering up what he's been covering up, that he doesn't know that he's been covering up, his wife would still be alive. He's had enough now.
Yeah,
That's
they-
it. He's a man on a mission.
Like,
Sort of.
you are staring in not your dead wife's face, but the face of the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah.
Or inactions.
Yeah. Then we go back to bloody Lauren, who is, ironically, is alone in her apartment waiting for George to return. After calling the police to report the dog, she deals with a clogged shower drain.
Yeah, because she
which-
feels like I need a shower.
Yeah.
Which, after
The policemen are turning up. Need to get clean.
spending a good minute of her watching her bend a coat hanger to deal with it, which I thought might be significant into like it's going to come for her, she's going to kill it with the coat hanger.
Yeah.
No.
No.
It spurts blood everywhere, and a chud comes up through the hatch and makes its way to the apartment block. So she's covered in blood now.
Where did the blood come from?
It was blocking. It was building up.
It was building up, but
where?
how? I mean, how? Because, you know, pipe outlets go down,
Yeah.
not up. There needs
Yeah,
to be
but
a
there's that-
pressure to
Yeah.
push.
There's that much blood in there because the tunnels are running with blood now from all the chuds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not
See,
I
like
think
I
they
said-
just wanted to put something like that in it, so they did it.
yeah, for the trailer.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah, it
they'd
was-
seen Death Ship and thought, oh, that worked in Death
Yeah,
Ship.
But even then, she does nothing.
No. It's like, okay, that's just happened. And
She doesn't
then,
run out.
well, she's already
does it?
called the police. She thinks they're on the way. Everything's going to be
yeah, I
sorted.
suppose maybe.
If I
So
push
she-
saying I got cold in blood, I would at least go and get tooled up or something. As the kids say.
if I was in an apartment block, think I'd be out of that apartment into
Yeah.
the next one and say, look, what
Or at
the
least
fuck's just
across the
happened to me?
street.
Jesus.
We
How's your
then-
shower? Can I use it?
Then we get a really cool moment with this kid. It builds up the tension. Who's playing in the hallway, and the chud is trying to break through the door. Eventually, the kid goes home, and the chud heads to Lauren's apartment, but not before killing two police officers who responded to the call she made earlier. The nice bit as well is as he banged it, the kid takes his truck as well.
Yeah.
Goes back for his truck and gets it out of the way.
Yeah.
And
It's
then-
almost like kids are safe from the chuds.
It does, doesn't it? It certainly are. But, you know, it's a nice build-up because that scene goes on
Yeah.
for, you know, a good probably minute,
and
30
any bit
seconds.
with
and-
Lauren in is the worst bit,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
but, yeah,
I
it's
mean, it does
definitely
build up tension.
tension.
but
Being,
she-
I think, is he going to get the kid? He's going to get the kid. He's not going to get the kid.
yeah, maybe chuds have got morals or something.
Maybe. Well, they were once human. So.
Once there was once a man, and that could we'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, the two more cops die. Cops aren't safe in this,
No.
and and Lauren's getting a chud chasing her.
Okay, so next we cut to a diner. So two of the cops that are supposed to be guarding the city sewers systems and drain pipes or whatever they are, manhole covers. They decide that they're hungry, so obviously they go into the diner. And one of them, played by a young John Goodman.
Yeah, who kind of looks like he does now, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't look a lot different.
Because he's slimmed down and got again now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other one was Jay Thomas,
Yeah.
who might not be remembered by many people, but he was basically Carla's love interest in Cheers when she was still married. He was like the nice guy that came in and was going to save her, and then he just disappeared from the show because basically I think he slagged Rhea Perlman off her looks off on the radio show in real life, and suddenly he wasn't in that show anymore and basically got blacklisted. But he was going to be the one she left her horrible husband for and had her happily ever after, but he called her like short and horrible and made derogatory
Yeah.
comments about her on the radio, and that was his end of his career in Cheers and most of his acting
Most of his
career.
other stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Danny DeVito would have finished him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, but yeah, so that's not bad as two cops.
Yeah. So whilst John Goodman's trying to get
Laid.
it on with the waitress, in come a group of the Chuds, and it's a bloodbath, smashing windows everywhere, blood splattering everywhere. And it's on national TV. So because of the media coverage of the massacre, Wilson decides to take charge of the scene and orders all drain covers to be covered. Meanwhile, Lauren's managed to board herself up, but the Chuds still got in. So there's a little bit of a skirmish. She throws the photographic stuff over the Chud,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
ends up chopping his head off, and the head bites her. But anyway, she still carries on, just because, it's always like something off of Shaun of the Dead. Oh, it's just a flesh
Just the
wound.
flesh, yeah, it's nothing to worry about.
So when Lauren sees what's happening on her TV set, she sets out to find George, and she steals one of the policeman's car and races to the scene.
Sirens blaring.
Yeah.
The one useful thing that she's done.
And then I think that's that point we randomly see that homeless guy again that we saw at the very beginning of the film talking to himself
Yeah.
for no reason.
Good old-
Although, to be
good old
fair-
stock footage.
Yeah,
She's the only one that's killed a Chud to this point, isn't she?
yeah. When they found a
apart
dead
from
one,
They
but
found a dead one
Yeah.
that got gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so you say
Oh.
she doesn't do anything, she kicks ass.
Yeah. And steals cars.
In the last 10 minutes.
Well,
Building up to it.
Yeah,
She's
What-
gone all
what was-
Ripley off Alien.
you're given all that. What does
yeah.
the reporter do?
He
Yeah.
got eaten.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh, just on a side note, the waitress that John Goodman was trying to chat
They're
up.
both,
is
they're not trying to. They're just leering over her. Let's be honest.
No, he makes an innuendo. She says something, he goes, "Oh, I'd have that in the morning," or something like
Yeah,
that.
so they're leering over
Yeah.
her. They're not
Right,
trying
leering.
to chat her up. Or maybe it's 80s style chatting up.
It was slapped her on the ass,
Yeah.
like telling her to
Come on,
shag
love, you've pulled.
Where do you
Yeah.
learn to cook like this?
him. Yeah, but she's Grandma Lois in all the Paranormal Activity movies. She's in about 4 or 5 of them. So she's,
Oh, okay.
she stayed in the genre. She took her another 30 years to get a bigger part, but yeah, she done all right. So poor old what's face is now driving around in her car.
Okay. George and AJ later find each other and attempt to escape from the sewers while evading the creatures. They find crates of nuclear and radioactive waste in an area in the area which we saw the Chuds milling about earlier. Seeing the boxes marked CHUD, they realise that CHUD actually stands for Contamination Hazard Urban Disposal. George and AJ stumble across the remains of the dead EPA and police crew and use the video camera to call for help. And they inform Bosch about what they found.
Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That whole scenario lays the groundwork for this.
it gives that it's
You don't get writing like this
no,
anymore.
you don't exactly.
Everything moves on. No one goes back.
You think to yourself, oh, that crew's all been killed. That's the end of that. We're not going to see that again. But no,
I mean, it's all become
video cameras there. Because in that when you first see the video camera bit, so they're all in the control room. You've got you've got Wilson stood there and George sat
Yeah.
down, and there's
And the other
that
guy.
bloke next to him, next to Wilson.
Yeah, I know.
He just kind of, oh yeah, I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm told, mate.
And it's just the fact that obviously, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons has obviously watched Chud and comes up with the idea to hide all of his
Yeah.
radioactive waste under the Springfield as well.
I think it was quite common in the 80s and 90s
Yeah.
for companies to be doing that.
But and it's very handy of the nuclear waste division or whatever they're called to
Big label.
put big labels
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were part of Acme or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, and it was
But I mean,
Chud as
let's be
well.
honest. I mean, they've put a lot of effort into getting two phrases or whatever out of that acronym, haven't they?
Yeah.
Oh, damn right.
I mean, that takes
I like-
some effort.
I like the bit where they had to get the headphones off the decapitated head as well to make the camera work and send the message
Yeah.
to Bosch. And it was the
And still, you've got a little bit of tension there as well because the dude that's supposed to be watching what's going on, he's dozing off.
Yeah.
He's yawning and he's
But it's
just
the bit
not paying
when
attention.
they give Bosch the message is like, hopefully this makes sense to you. The reverend's on the EPA camera with the C.H.U.D. I can't remember what she says now. And
Yeah.
It sounds really random, and it's like, what? And it just sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it was just well done. And again, all those threads are getting pulled together very quickly and very tightly now, and you see what a sort of set piece that scene was. So yeah, with Wilson then already starting the gas flow to kill the creatures, Bosch attempts to save the two men, only for Wilson to stop him.
Nasty Wilson.
Evil Wilson. Bosch reveals that he knows all about the government cover-up and all the real abbreviations for C.H.U.D. So, obviously, Wilson pulls out a gun, intending to kill Bosch and protect his secret. But Bosch overpowers him and takes the keys to the delivery truck, which is parked over the manhole cover, so he can let George and AJ out before they get gassed in the tunnel. But just when Bosch drives the truck off the manhole cover, Wilson appears again and shoots him. Wilson then commandeers the truck and to try and run over and kill George and AJ, who have now managed to get out. However, Lauren, finally validating her place in the script, comes up on the scene and attempts to help them escape. It's action-packed. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. And
And
I just love how Wilson, he's shown his true colours now. There's no stopping him.
Yeah.
No,
He's a
gone.
man on a mission.
That
He's
man
almost
does
like
not
Rambo.
He doesn't give a shit now.
I'm surprised he didn't find a flamethrower somewhere and
This is
just
it. But he doesn't want his secret out, does he? He's been dumping hazardous waste.
Should have hid it a bit better, really, shouldn't he? As
without
I
the
said.
labels as well.
Yeah. If you're going to hide something, don't put a big, massive label on it.
Anyway, so AJ takes Bosch's gun and shoots at Wilson as he drives the truck, fatally wounding him. The truck hits the open manhole and explodes due to the methane gas pouring out of the sewer. George and Lauren embrace, happy to be reunited, while AJ is relieved that Bosch, despite being shot through the chest, is still at the moment alive as he stands near the remains of the burning truck and he says something like, "Good shot."
Yeah, something like that.
And then they got married. That was a nice bit at the end. 'Cause that's the bit, this is going back to what I think earlier, that's the bit I think where Bosch realises like AJ was in Nam or something, or maybe what he's been through. Because it's just like that, good shot, you shouldn't be able to shoot like that. So suddenly, there's this whole mysterious past that we don't know about. This is obviously just me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't pick up any of that.
No,
It was
but
more
like-
like,
No,
good
but I like you. I
But,
like
but
your
do you
theory.
know what I mean? He was but it was a proper good shot. It wasn't like he just shot one, done it. He aimed it, took it, shot him, and killed him. And it was like, fucking hell, good shot, mate. And it was like, I didn't realise that. It was almost that gritted teeth of like, I didn't know that about
Yeah.
you. So there's something there that's hint again, never explained, never gone over. But he was impressed with it as a policeman. And then it did look like they might get married at the end because they seemed to be in love with each other at that point. But there was that sort of knowing kind of.
See,
Yeah,
there's a
good
missed
shot.
film there that could have been a
Yeah.
buddy cop movie. AJ joins the force and is partnered up with
Bosch and the
Bosch.
Reverend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could still be made. They're both still around. I'd like to think they've been going around in like a camper van solving crimes, small town by small town,
Yeah.
killing chuds and whatever else happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that
Right,
was
wasn't
just a
Frank
clever
Bob.
bit because it was kind of hinted at. And, in 84, that would have been quite a lot of homeless were Vietnam veterans and stuff like that. Yeah, just, that was my little take on it. Reading way between the lines and trying to make it better.
You need to try and make it better. Anyway, so there we go. That's C.H.U.D in an hour and 20 minutes. So, what do we think? I'll go to you first, Paul.
Not gonna lie,
Mm.
this film had a few flaws.
Okay.
Okay, there are I mean, we don't normally go into as much detail on this, but there are a lot of scenes on this, and you don't like jumping around type films. I'm surprised. This came up from your watch list, and you even watched it when you were
I'll
younger.
tell you for why. And that's because of exactly what we've been saying throughout this. All those threads all come back together.
Yeah.
So, yes, it does jump from set piece to set piece, which you're right. I hate films that do that. But each of those set pieces almost call back to something that's happened maybe the scene
Set
before.
something up or whatever.
So
yeah.
they're not just, it's not just,
No, I get you.
let's stick some random action in, or we've got to get from point A to point C, so we got to get to go through B.
Yep.
No, this is all, there's reasons for pretty much most of those scenes and set pieces.
Oh yeah. It's just that surprised me. There's a lot of just stuff that. I mean, it's not realistic, but you know, the fact that
Hang
you've
on,
got
so cannibalistic
No,
humanoid
but this-
underground
this-
dwellers. It's not
but-
realistic.
but the fact that the Reverend would be with Bosch confronting like the city mayor, it's like fuck off. He's not going to pay attention to a homeless sheltered cook. It would take a week to get an appointment, but all that aside, he's just like shouting at the mayor and all this kind of stuff. When it's over the top, it's over the top. It doesn't flow as potentially it should have done or could have done. There's lots of plot holes, which it's a bit ridiculous, a bit farcical. I really liked it. I really liked it. The chuds look crap. I mean, they look, that the hands look like, it's a washing up glove that's been painted with some stuff on it. It's got many flaws.
But for how good the wounds and that were, like you were saying earlier
Yeah.
on, and the mutation-y bits and all that, and then you've got kind of. Do you reckon they were like costumes that were like left over from the 60s?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, whether it was like a
swamp.
Swamp Thing left over.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
definitely got Swamp Thing vibes to it.
But I really liked it. Almost so that I almost rented out Chud 2.
Bud the Chud.
Yeah, because I didn't know there was a Chud 2. Then I saw it and I thought, hold on a minute. We still don't know what's happened to the Chuds. They could still be down there. And also, Lauren's been bitten. And there's a hint that this could be contagious.
And she's pregnant.
Is this what Chud's 2 about? And I literally almost rented Chud 2 out there and then. But instead, I watched The Strays. Kind of regretting that now. No, I really liked it. It's, early 80s. I'm going to forgive it a lot of its sins and just think, cool. And, how much of that film spawned. As I said, Simpsons, a lot of the actors gone on to a lot bigger and better things. And
Just on that a second, Frank the policeman, who was the underground one, the black police officer, who was actually played by a guy called Frankie Faison, who ended up being Pops the barbershop owner in Luke Cage on Netflix, and he was the landlord in Coming to America. He's been sort of, for lack of a better term, large black gentleman who might be slightly angry or slightly annoyed at you, but okay, really. And a lot of, there's a Murder, She Wrote, there's a, he's
A staple of
he's done better than quite a lot of other people that's been in there.
But, lots of them have gone on to bigger and better things. The one thing I kind of liked about it as well is almost like it was written and directed by two separate people. The reason for that is because you get all this mad craziness, over the top hype, but there's almost another filmmaker in there looking at the photographer's life backstories, fed up of the limelight and working for all these prestigious money grabbing gits, trying to do something serious. The relationship he has with the homeless woman, actually, he's trying to help her out. He follows her around. It's weird.
Yeah, well, she's and she clearly trusts him. He's,
Yeah.
They've built up a rapport.
Exactly.
For her to call him.
Some of it
He
is
tries to kill him later on, though.
Well, yeah, but then
You killed my brother.
yeah,
well, that's what happens. In the
rage
chat.
takes over.
But genuinely enjoyed it.
Cool, Mr. Summers.
Yeah, I mean, it has faults, and it was a bit slow to get going at the beginning, but it more than makes up for it at the end, and it makes sense why it was slow at the beginning. It's almost reminds me of a kind of one of those disaster movies where you're like following all the different people at different places at different times, and then it kind of all pulls together. All the threads come together. Everyone ends up in the same place, whatever. Now, it had that thing about it, which I guess were big in the 70s, and this was, 83, 84. Oh, excuse me. And like you say, it pays off. The things that they put in the script pay off later. It's well written. It's been thought about. A lot of these sort of straight-to-video horror sci-fi things were kind of made in filmed in order, so no one didn't know what was going on, and rushed through and chucked out and, put out with a cool cover, and then they were making the sequel by the time the first one had come out. This is different. Well, it seems different anyway. There's 4 in it. This is something that could be a 10-issue series on Netflix now.
Yeah.
And be really good with the same plot points, just obviously making it an hour an episode and delve into those characters a bit more. I've given you the ideas, and it would work. It would work still now. It'd be even cooler if they still set it in 1984.
Yeah,
they'd look at nice and retro, because we've had enough of Stranger Things now. Let's go back somewhere else. But yeah, it's got potential to be redeveloped. I mean, the atomic nuclear threat is still there. And like you say, the Simpsons have done it since. Everyone's done it since. There's always something being dumped somewhere.
Yep.
And it done it well. It's just, I don't know, it's just funny that like most of the people in it, or like the Reverend, will forever be the dude from Home Alone with the shovel mark on his head, rather than the guy that saves humanity.
Mm.
Or Kevin Arnold's dad.
Who's Kevin Arnold?
Oh, no, so he played Kevin Arnold, didn't he, in The Wonder Years? He's the voice for him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I did not know that. Well, there you go.
Cool.
The voice to our child.
Yeah.
And Damien.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I genuinely loved
good,
every minute
isn't
of it. Say it's been years since I watched it, and I know I liked it when I originally watched it. And I was thinking maybe going back to it would be a bad idea, But no, for all the reasons you've both just mentioned, I can't fault it. I could happily watch it again. In fact, I've watched it twice.
I'm going to watch C.H.U.D too.
Because I watched it the first time, and then I watched it again to do the plot. And normally that's a chore, but I thoroughly enjoyed it this time round. Thought it was great. So ratings.
8 out of 10.
Nice.
Ooh.
Mr. Summers?
Ooh. Come back to me. I'm just going over it in my head now. I'm still analysing it for the ratings.
Okay. I'm going for an 8 as well. So as I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a couple of things knocked off just because of that sort of pacing, and some of the characters could have been developed a little bit more. Getting AJ's backstory would have been useful.
Yeah.
The fact that George, who the fuck's George? The fact that Bosch just kind of.
Although I guess they were running out of time as well. Because for those days, time was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they only had a $1.2 million budget. So they're probably thinking, well, we need a horror film about an hour and a half. If it's 2.5 hours, which could be this day and age,
yeah,
no one's going to watch it.
True, maybe. But either way, so yeah, I'm going with an 8. Mr. Summers, come on, give us a rating.
Oh, that's very tough, because I did enjoy it. I think I'm going to go 7.
Okay.
Or maybe 7.5.
No, we're not doing points. Just
Any other time when you
we've done points.
Have we?
Yeah, you've got to let them have that.
fair enough.
I think it's just under. There's just something missing. It just doesn't, for me, push it into that upper echelon of like 8 and above. I think it's just under, and I don't know if it's because of Lauren or her and how much she annoyed me in the film, or I don't know. As a film put together, it's done brilliantly. There's just something in there for me that just holds it back from pushing into that top end of the table.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'd have it in sort of top 8, but not in the top 3, top 4. So yeah, I'll go about a 7.5. But yeah, definitely worth a watch though. Both for if you're a film study student, there's film history all over this. Go and watch it, and if you just enjoy radioactive zombie-like things, yeah, do it.
If you want to know how to put little nuggets of information and details in that'll come back later, this is the film for
or
you.
maybe you want to work on your acronyms.
Yeah, definitely if you want to work on your acronyms.
And if your name's C.H.U.D, you're going to love this.
Cool. So there we have it. As usual, let us know if you disagree with us. You can contact us at
Factionpodcast@mail.com.
and you can follow us on Twitter,
Instagram,
Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
And obviously the mothership of our existence, where everything, all roads lead back to cultfaction.com.
So that brings us on to what we're going to watch next week. And it's your choice, Mr. Hawkins. So what's it going to be?
What do you have for us?
I'm certainly going to choose a film that's easily available so that we can all rent it and watch it for next week. And I'm certainly not going to choose one that isn't. So you'll have to indulge me because I want to go back to the mid-'80s.
Okay.
And I've seen this film several times
Okay.
on VHS. Probably to a point where I probably, let it run out the video. But I haven't watched it in probably 25, 30 years. So I'm going to take you down back to 1986. A wicked troll king in search of a mystical ring that will return him to his human form invades a San Francisco apartment complex where a powerful witch lives. I'm bringing you, for your entertainment, Troll.
Troll. Oh,
They
man.
run, they run, they run. I remember that. I remember the apartment block turning into the mythical realm.
The original Harry Potter.
Eh.
No, that's his name.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And he was also Sebastian.
Yeah. No, never ending story.
Yeah.
Right, if they're
Sweet.
playing at home, what can we watch this on, Paul?
Amazon Prime, available
cool.
to rent in HD for about $5, which I'm going to be doing, or maybe buying. Buy the movie for $7.99, rent it for $3.49. Do you take that gamble? Who knows?
Or you can do one of them free subscriptions for a couple of days and then cancel it.
Yeah. Either way, it's
there.
it's free, readily available,
Exactly.
and we can't wait. I'm not vetoing it. I remember enjoying it when I was much younger, but
Yeah.
like you've not seen it for a long time.
So it'll be interesting to see if that
Yeah.
stacks up. It's only 1 hour 23, which is less than
Yeah.
the limit of 1 hour 30 that I normally watch a film.
Oh, yeah, I just brought it up on Amazon, and the little sister was the Star Child in V, the
Yeah.
original series as well.
Yeah.
I've got goosebumps of nostalgia.
Cool. So that's your homework for next week.
That's Troll 1986.
Yes,
There are lots of other films called Troll.
there are. That is
But
very
that's
true.
the
So
one.
we're the 1986 version.
Directed by John Cole
I thought you were going to say John Cougar Mellencamp
and
then.
Drago Floyd, which
Okay.
sounds pretty cool.
There you go. You've got what you need to find it. So, as always, don't forget to rate and review us on your preferred podcast app. It all helps, gets us out there. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your grandma. Tell whoever you like, but tell someone. Otherwise, we're just pissing in the wind. And on that note, I have
That's the
been
end
your
of this
host,
week's Pissing in
Damien.
the Wind podcast.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should name it. Pissing in the wind.
Well, that would be Pitware
Pitware.
if we're on an acronyms this
Yeah.
week.
So, on that note, I have been your host, Damien Hicks. I have been joined by,
Paul Hawkins.
And Brett Summers.
and we're all saying goodbye after the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, well.
Every stop I make a new friend. Can can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road.
Superman.
Ow!
Ah.
Fuck me.
And they call it Mellow Yellow. Quite right. Fucking hate that song.
Yep, it's a shit song.
Standing in a crowded room and I can see your face. But
I'm ready again.
Cool.
I'm always ready.
And the dog whining to come and he can fuck off.